Hello and welcome to the preview to the African Regional Conference 2016. I'm James King, the banker's Middle East and Africa editor, and I'm joined today by Alain Raes, who is SWIFT's Chief Executive for Europe, the Middle East, Africa and the Asia Pacific. Alain, great to see you again.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Now, the opening plenary session of this year's conference looks at some of the mega trends that will be shaping Africa's social and economic development in the years ahead. What can we expect to learn from this session?
Well, you know, there are a certain number of those trends that are really shaping the continent and the emerging countries, not only in Africa, but also outside of that continent. For instance, the demography. I mean, clearly, you've heard that by the year 2015, Africa is going to weigh about 20% of the worldwide population. How is that actually going to affect the global economical development of that country? Another one would be technology. There are some places in Africa where actually that technology is evolving even faster than many other places in the world. Say the example of Kenya, where you've had M-Pesa, which is clearly a place where electronic banking has evolved much faster than many other places in the world as well. So clearly technology is one of those mega trends that's going to affect the development of those countries, the continent, perhaps faster than elsewhere. Another one is geopolitics. But geopolitics is playing everywhere, as you know, in Africa as well. How is Africa going to land from a geopolitical point of view moving forward is extremely important and will affect, obviously, the future of that territory and continent moving forward as well. Then you have the evolution of the market infrastructures, the evolution of the economies, and the evolution of the social climate that's going to affect the continent also moving forward. And that's perhaps where, eventually over time, supporting the emergence of very strong financial systems and infrastructure, SWIFT and its community can play a role. You know what we're doing there, we've been there for many years, and the objective we have is to bring our support to ensuring that over time the financial industry can support a very sustainable growth for the continent, supporting them therefore around all these mega trends that I've just talked about, and we SWIFT just actually hoping that we can play a role into this.
Now, also on the agenda this year, Alain, is the role of disruptive technologies and new entrants in the financial ecosystem. When you look at the kind of impact they're having on the emerging markets payments landscape, what can we expect to see there?
Well, it's playing out everywhere. As you know, I mean, at Cybos last year in Singapore, we've been talking about blockchain, distributed ledger, the new entrants, fintech, you know, from day one to the last of the conference. And this is happening actually in Africa, as this is happening in many other places of the world. I've just giving you the example of M-Pesa when it comes to Kenya. That was perhaps one of the very first case where you have a new entrant getting into market. And because that new entrant is actually a lot more agile, moves a lot faster, nimble and all that, coming with new technologies, is capable actually to invading a market where you had a very strong participants at the time and getting to very rapidly to 40-50% of the market share. So clearly that is happening in Africa. And I would suspect that as you have in those territories, those countries, a much cleaner sheet in terms of legacy systems and all that, those new technologies will have actually a baseline to start growing, expanding actually much faster than many other places in the world. Why? Because in countries like ours, in Europe, for instance, or like in the United States, or some countries in Asia, they've been there for many years. Those participants, those financial institutions have been there for many years, and they're struggling to adapting all their systems, their infrastructures, to the emergence of those new technologies, to the entrance of those new participants that, again, are moving a lot faster. They're coming with little ideas, strong technology, they're moving fast, and you know, step by step, they're just carving out, you know, some part of the business that the old participants had. So I suspect that in Africa, well, it is happening. I suspect that it will accelerate. And there again, SWIFT and its community is there to see, well, how can we actually participate to this? How can we, over time, also making sure that our technology is adapting to those new trends? How can we make sure that, therefore, we can still support the financial community we are supporting to make it stronger and more adaptable to new technologies moving forward?
Okay, now Alain, you also mentioned Swift's long presence on the African continent, and the business is growing well. In terms of the bigger picture, what kind of technological change have you seen in recent years, and what role is Swift playing in this space?
Well, yeah, you said it. Actually, we like to say that in Africa, perhaps more than any other place in the world, we are part of the fabric. Actually, I can claim that Swift, willingly supported by the international community we are representing, was actually very much willing to invest in Africa, to making sure that when economical growth will come, when countries will start developing, when perhaps the geopolitics will calm down, actually we can be there and we can really help to building this financial institutions and communities moving forward. We've done that for many, many years, so much so that now, as I've said, we can claim we're part of the fabric. In other words, actually, we are in many, many countries. We are supporting the markets, the financial market infrastructures, in securities world, in the payments world, low-value payments as well moving forward. We are really actually developing a vast array of services and products that actually are really responding to the need of those communities. So that is a real asset that we have and that we want to keep developing for those countries. So there are many more things we can do moving forward in those countries. They are there as well, the emergence of new platforms, of new market infrastructures. As I said before, those guys are also adopting new technology. So we want also to leverage the investment we've made actually over the last 20 years, 25 years, to be in there and to accelerate our presence and our support moving forward. So we've actually, 2 years ago, we've come up with a new plan leading us to 2018. And the objective is basically doubling the size of or nearly doubling the size of our business by the time in Africa. One of the axes we've actually taken for doing this is to also increase our presence. This continent, as you know, is very vast. Until now, we were supporting Africa essentially from Johannesburg, where we were, but also sometimes from our other office that we have in Dubai, and of course, with other office we have in another part of the world. But no, actually, we've invested in having 2 new offices, one in Accra in Ghana, the other one in Nairobi in Kenya, from where also we'll increase our penetration in the market, the capillarity we have, more people, more experience, more expertise that we'll put at the disposal of our communities, our clients, to making sure that we can still be part of the fabric 10 years from now.
Sure. Well, it should be a great conference this year, Alain. I look forward to seeing you in Mauritius. And thank you again.
Thank you.